Hello everyone, it's me, Waifu Selector, and it's been a while since we had any worthwhile acquisition talk, but now we're back, and we're back with a familiar possibility. New reports are further suggesting yet again that Sony will acquire Square Enix. So let's dive back into this one. There's honestly not much in the way of new fuel to this fire, but more so just additional confirmation on things we've already heard. A new report is saying that Sony is, quote, really interested in acquiring Square Enix Japan. Now, the important part here is that their interest is specifically on the Japanese branch of Square and not the Western parts, because if you remember, a few months ago, Square Enix sold off the majority of its Western IP and studios. I even went into detail about all the reasons it would seem this acquisition was coming in a video I did around that time. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out, but for now, I'll just stick to what's new. Us getting more and more reports of the same thing is just making this all but a certainty, you know? And personally, I think that this is gonna happen. It makes too much sense. It's too perfect of a play for Sony. The stars are so well aligned for this that I'd be surprised if it didn't go through. But you might be thinking, if we were hearing this months ago and nothing's come of it, it was probably just wild rumors, right? But the truth is, the corporate business world probably moves pretty slowly. There's a lot of money involved, a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of things and people possibly getting moved around from place to place. You know, it's a little bit more complicated than a handshake or a pinky promise, but yeah, with the history between these two companies, it just makes all the sense in the world that Sony would acquire Square Enix. And you know, after some of the huge gets that Microsoft and Xbox managed to secure with the Bethesda deal, then the Activision Blizzard deal, Sony probably can't wait to grab up a publisher that would generate equal PR buzz and discussion in the gaming space. They clearly aren't trying to compete dollar for dollar with Microsoft because they'd lose. I mean, we're probably not going to see anything in gaming as expensive and as monumental as that Blizzard acquisition for a very long time. So it makes sense for Sony and PlayStation to make sure they keep their position on top of Microsoft in the gaming landscape, you know? And the first and possibly best way you're going to influence your position is by influencing your own public perception. Because if people view you as winning, whether you are or aren't, they're more likely to go, hey, this is that thing I've been hearing about. Everyone says they're the best at what they do. I want to see why. You know, it helps to maintain your spot on top if you're there already, and it can help get you there if you aren't. If enough people believe you're the best for long enough, eventually it becomes true. Which is why Xbox is going, hey, we've got Skyrim, we've got Fallout, we've got Doom, we've got Diablo, we've got Overwatch, and all the million things they bought. That's why that's such a big deal. A lot of people saw that at the time and said, whoa, Xbox has all the good games. They are the best. I gotta get an Xbox. And you bet your ass it raised their fucking sales. So, you know, PlayStation has been eager as fuck to flaunt comparable heavyweights to reassert their dominance, as it were. And their extensive pre-existing relationship with Square makes them the perfect candidate. We already associate Cloud Stripe's face and Final Fantasy with PlayStation. Final Fantasy VII Remake was exclusive to PlayStation for a year and a half before it went to PC, and it doesn't look like it's ever coming to Xbox. I believe we know Final Fantasy 16 and Forspoken will be similar, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, this isn't some new thing. Square and Sony have had a thing for decades. And by the way, Final Fantasy is one of the most well-known franchises in gaming, you know? If you play them, if you don't, it doesn't matter. You know what it is. You've heard of it. Square also owns Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is like a fucking national treasure in Japan. Literally, entire companies give their employees the day off when a mainline Dragon Quest releases because they know you're all gonna stay home and play it anyway. You know, we're talking about blockbuster franchises that only sell millions, and Sony has basically been flirting with them for years, so you know they can't fucking wait to put them on their banner, flaunt them in front of everybody, and remind people, yeah, we're the game kings who have all all the most iconic shit, and owning those two IP, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, almost guarantees that you're just goated for life in Japan, as if PlayStation wasn't already. But I'm just saying, like, you're that much more solidified. Not to mention the Nier franchise would be a nice little notch on the belt. But since Sony clearly isn't interested in the Western branch of Square, I wonder if they'd also take the very few Western IP that Square held on to, or if they'd ignore it, or if they'd have Square sell it off, or what, because in the event that Sony did take those Western IP as well, not saying it's like a big get or anything, but it probably couldn't hurt to have Just Cause and Life is Strange as well. What the hell, maybe even Outriders. And also, since Disney owns Kingdom Hearts but partners with Square to produce the games, I wonder if Disney would terminate any further dealings with Square because they don't want to deal with Sony. I don't know what the fucking relationship is like there. Or, do they continue their partnership with Square unimpeded and untampered with, but Sony ultimately getting a piece of that Square Enix pie? Who even knows? My point is, I do think that this acquisition will happen. I feel like it's just a matter of time, but who knows? I can always be wrong. If you want to hear all the reasons why I think it'll happen, I'll leave a link to a previous video in the description and put it up on the screen. That video was called "Is Square Enix Preparing to Sell to Sony?" And if you want, you can check out a video I did on other possible Sony acquisitions that could happen. I'll put them both on the screen and leave the links in the description too. But that's all I've got today. So until next time, I am Waifu Selector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I think Sony will buy Square Enix. Goodbye.